was very important. I think that since I made choices which were different from the regular choice that any candidate would have made after engineering, so it was very important for me to communicate why are the choices I made and what was the rationale behind it. The help I received from ISB Mantra had been very critical, specifically on focusing um, how do I articulate my experiences. To give you an example, also, I spent 1 year preparing for civil services also, and I wasn't sure should I highlight that in my application, but my consultant convinced me that it's something that brings originality to the application and you should highlight it. And so I went with the advice. And in the final interview, it did come up. So the first thing for any reapplicant is to reach out. I would say is to reach out to the admissions committee and take a feedback on the last year's application. That's what interview focus was primarily on 2 points. One, to understand the trajectory of the career, the choices you have made in the career, and the kind of projects you have taken up in the previous role, the kind of industries you worked in. And the second, this time I found was they were much more focused on what exactly I was doing at my job.
Okay, so Lakshya, congratulations again to making it to one of the prestigious programs of MBA as PGP at ISB. And thank you so much for taking out your time. I know how busy students get before they actually get into the this 52-week roller coaster ride. We also do these videos essentially to show it to students who would be coming from a similar background, so that they get an understanding of what does one go through, how do they prepare, okay, and what happens from applying to the interview and during the interview. So all this gives them a head start. It gives them an idea. It helps them to plan their whole journey better. Okay. So to continue the discussion, Lakshya, let's start by understanding your academic and professional profile.
So, thank you, Vikram. Thanks for inviting me. So I'm Laksh. I was born and brought up in Kota, Rajasthan. I did my undergrad from BITS Pilani in chemical engineering. Post BITS, I wanted to work in an organization that gives me exposure to different industries, different functions. So I started my career with Invest India, with Ministry of Commerce and Industries and Government of India. My role essentially there was investment promotion, trade facilitation, and policy formulation to present and the India story to the foreign investors. After completing 3 years at Invest India, I moved to my current organization, Plumish Technologies, in growth and strategy role. My current firm is an electronics manufacturing firm, and this is the extension of what I was working at Invest India in the electronics and semiconductor industry. So that's what currently I'm doing in my current role.
Great. So, Lakshya, many applicants or people who inquire with us for the PGP program, some of them do come from the experience of having working with the government. Okay. Now, they are generally they have a hesitance that will my value add or will my work be compared on par with what's actually happening outside in a private sector, right? So as an engineering graduate, having worked with the in the government services and also a manufacturing industry, it must not have been an easy application for you to build. So what was your application strategy and the primary focus area when you started thinking about the application?
Oh, sure. So, for me, it was very important. I think that since I made choices which were different from the regular choice that any candidate would have made after engineering, so it was very important for me to communicate why are the choices I made and what was the rationale behind it, what was the vision behind it. And there was a continuity in my vision since my first role to second role, and now what I plan to do post PGP. So in the application, it was very important for me to highlight that continuity. both in the essays and in interview. And I think that really helped me in the application.
Right. And I think during that thought process and the journey is when we got connected and we started interacting about, this year's application. So, while building your application, what were the kind of inputs you received from ISB Mantra and the consultants with whom you work? And, how these inputs were helpful to you? How did your approach and perspective got enhanced based on these interactions when you were working on the application?
Sure. Just to add to context, Vikram, this was my second application to ISB. So I was a reapplicant this year. Last year, I made the application on my own, and it was waitlisted last year. So this year, I decided that I'll need some more help in articulation of my work experience and what I was in a way, and how do I communicate the choices I made and where I want to go. So that's when I reached out to ISB Mantra. The help I received from ISB Mantra has been very critical, specifically on focusing um, how do I articulate my experiences. At the start, I had a lot to talk about, but among those different aspects, which ones to choose, which ones can highlight, and how do I communicate that better? That's what I really appreciated support from ISB Mantra. To give you an example, also, I spent 1 year preparing for civil services also, and I wasn't sure should I highlight that in my application, but my consultant convinced me that it's something that brings originality to the application and you should highlight it. And so I went with the advice. And in the final interview, it did come up, and I think the interviewer was convinced on the trajectory from UPSC to working with the government of India and then to the industry. So yes, definitely it really helped me to shape my perspective on my application.
Great. And as you mentioned, you were a reapplicant. So how did you present your profile differently? And what was your reapplication strategy in the application?
So the first thing for any reapplicant is to reach out. I would say is to reach out to the admissions committee and take a feedback on the last year's application. That's what I did, and the feedback I got was the communication and the clarity. The admissions committee uh, did not had in my application. So that was the first thing. So that was when I decided I need help from the ISB Mantra. Additionally, I did take a few steps in my career approach. One, I improved my GMAT score from 720 to 750 in the second application. Second, I switched my role. I moved much closer to the industry in my current role, and that really helped me to build my story for the post PGP career goals also. I could highlight to the admissions team that I have taken steps in the direction which I highlighted in my application. And the third, I completed few online courses, including Harvard Business School online course on financial accounting, and with the help from my consultant, I was able to highlight that in my reapplicant test.
And how much, from submitting your application to receiving an interview, invite from ISB, what was the time gap?
So I submitted my application on 10th September. I received the shortlist for interview on 29th September, and I
Okay.
got my interview was scheduled on 22nd October. So I had about healthy time of 3 weeks to prepare for the interview.
Right. Right. Okay, great. And so that's when we also started preparing or working with you for your interviews. So you went through mock interviews and counseling sessions with experts at ISB Mantra. Tell us about how these different sessions helped you streamline your thoughts, and how did you see these approach changing, through the different sessions you have had with us.
Sure. So as I highlighted, I think it was very important for me to build on the last year's feedback I received from the admissions team, and the feedback was mostly on communication in the at the interview stage of the application essay. So that's when we started the conversation on the interview preparation. There were five sessions in the interview stage, in the interview preparation, three mocks, one career building session, and one counseling session. And I think the spacing of these sessions really helped me. It started with the first mock where I tested my own preparation, what I was planning to do, and I got a lot of good feedback, especially on concising the story to within 1.5, 2 minutes in every answer, making it more impactful in the start. And then the second session was on the career building session. I think that was really important also because when we at the interview I was expected to think on the feet. And
Yeah.
to have that visibility of 1 year, 1.5 years down the line really helped to articulate answers in the interview. The third session was the second mock where I was tested my preparation. In the fourth counseling session, I actually validated all my application interview strategy with my consultant. And in the final mock, which I took just 2 days before the interview, it really helped me to get the kind of confidence I needed for the interview.
Interview. Nice. And how was your experience interviewing with ISB? And what were the key focus areas of discussion, during your interview, especially considering that you are a reapplicant?
So, my interview, as highlighted previously also, that it's not a stress test. The
Mm.
interviewer wants to know the candidate, wants to understand uh, the applicant themselves more. So, the interview focus was primarily on 2 points. One, to understand the trajectory of the career, the choices you have made in the career, and the kind of projects you have taken up in the previous role, the kind of industries you worked in. And the second, this time I found was they were much more focused on what exactly I was doing at my job. Uh, so that is something I was very well versed with, and I was able to communicate that to the interviewer.
Okay, great. Were there any specific questions around, the reapplicant? Like what has changed since the last application, or did they ask any specific question?
Not really. Not at the interview stage. The focus was much more on exactly what I was doing in this role, what I was
Right,
doing in the previous role, and what I want to do in my future.
right. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, now that you have admit, what are some of the things you're looking forward to do before you join the program?
Yeah, so I recently had my first ISB networking dinner in Bangalore. So the first thing I was planning to do is meet my peers who will be my batchmate in the ISB program. So I'm
Nice.
just trying to meet them and understand where they are coming from, where they want to go. That's one thing. And second, one of the advice I got with most of the Allens is to relax uh, before the program starts because the program is very exhaustive, very uh,
Hmm.
intense. So I think I'll balance my reach out to the industry to Allen, so I would relax and before joining the program.
Great, great. Before we wrap up, any advice to the prospective applicants who are coming with a similar background, especially the reapplicants? They always have this major concern that how does ISB treat reapplicant? Will I be able to crack this admission during my reapplication as a reapplicant, and these questions? So, any inputs for them would be helpful.
What I will advise is that as I'm coming more closer to joining the ISB PGP program, it's very clear to me that it's all boils down to prioritization and what is your exact value system where I want to go. So the entire process of 3 months for application preparation, which actually is an exercise in understanding myself,
Hmm.
uh, to understand. what I to articulate, rather I should say, to articulate my own choices, my own vision, and based on that, eventually, as I go forward, I have to make choices. So, what I would advise to the prospective applicants is that they spend time thinking about building their own vision, articulating that vision. Where they want to go post the PGP program, and what exactly they want to do. For the reapplicants, I would say that ISP is looking to understand you. They want to understand more, and there could be a few reasons why the previous application didn't work. It could include the communication of what you wanted to communicate, making a bit of continuity, making it more stronger in terms of committing to that vision and being loyal to that vision. So uh, all these points can be worked on, and some support definitely helps in the preparation in bridging those gaps for the reapplicant.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Lakshay. These were the questions we had for you. And again, Lakshay, congratulations. Do keep in touch with us. We've been in this space over a decade now. Many students have taken our service, and they do keep in touch with us. While ISB will provide you all this network automatically to you, being a student and when you become an alum. But beyond that, if you need any help from us, do not hesitate to get in touch. Okay.
Thank you so much, Vikram.
Yeah.
And I
And
really want to thank you. I remember my first call in July where I mentioned that if I start my application, I'll go till the end. And so I'm really happy that we completed the path. And thank you so much. Your team was wonderful, very committed, and I'll stay in touch.
thank you.